All right, so you're here because you want to know what's up with this IPL opener, right?
You want to get smart on it fast.
Yeah, KKR versus RCB.
Big one to kick things off. Eden Gardens, March 22nd, 7:3 p.m. IST.
It's going to be electric.
We're not going to mess around with, the basic previews and all that.
Yeah, we're going to.
We're going right into the stuff that's going to, actually give you an edge here.
The real insights.
So let's start with the battlefield.
Okay.
Eden Gardens.
Kolkata.
It's more than just a stadium, right?
It's an absolute icon.
And when you think Eden Gardens, you think high scores.
Oh, yeah. Big totals.
So what is it about this venue that makes those runs just flow?
Well, the IPL history at Eden Gardens kind of tells the story.
Yeah.
The first innings average is around 184.
Wow.
And then the second innings average is a very healthy 175.
Okay, so clearly a batsman's paradise.
It is definitely a batsman-friendly pitch.
But
it's not completely one-sided, though.
Right.
There are opportunities for bowlers. All right, so a batsman's playground, but there's a few tricks for the bowlers up its sleeve.
Exactly.
Let's dig into those pitch and ground conditions specifically.
Okay.
We know the reputation, but what's the actual science behind it?
So the pitch itself, the nature of the pitch is really key.
Okay.
It's typically dry and hard.
Okay.
So the ball comes on really nicely to the bat.
Makes sense.
And the batsman can play their shots.
With confidence.
Yeah, with real confidence.
Okay.
Now, for the bowlers, early on,
Right.
especially those with good pace,
Okay.
who can hit the seam,
Yeah.
they might extract some movement, particularly with the new ball.
So exploit that new ball hardness is key for the quicks then.
Absolutely crucial.
But then as the innings unfolds, it kind of shifts the advantage, doesn't it?
Yeah, the game progresses and the pitch starts to favor spin.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And that's when you see, the likes of Sunil Narine,
Yeah.
Varun Chakravarti
Those guys.
become really influential.
Right in the middle overs.
Yeah, controlling that scoring rate, picking up those wickets.
Big time players.
Yeah. And of course, we can't forget about the dew.
Oh, the dew factor.
A good factor in these day-night matches.
How does that sway things?
Well, it really impacts the toss decision.
Okay.
Captains generally prefer to chase
Yeah.
because a wet outfield makes it really tough for bowlers to grip the ball,
Makes sense.
especially later in the innings.
Yeah.
And for the batsmen, the ball's kind of skidding on nicely.
Yeah. They're loving it.
Yeah, they love it.
Now let's get specific on those boundary measurements.
Right.
What are we looking at?
So straight boundaries around 75 meters.
Pretty standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the square boundaries a bit shorter, between
Oh.
62 and 68 meters.
So if it's overcast, it can be in Kolkata,
Yeah.
we could see some balls flying.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of sixes.
Okay, so we've got a hard, dry pitch helping the seamers early.
Yeah.
Then it starts helping the spinners.
Mm-hmm.
The dew factor is huge.
Huge.
And then those short square boundary.
Inviting those big hits.
Got a good picture in my head now.
Okay, good.
Let's talk history.
Yeah.
KKR versus RCB.
Yeah.
There's a story there.
Big rivalry.
So what does the head-to-head say?
So in the IPL up to 2024,
Okay.
Kolkata Knight Riders have won 20 matches
Out of...
out of the 34 they've played.
Okay.
And RCB have got 14 victories.
So KKR with the edge?
Definitely a historical advantage there.
No, what about specifically at Eden Gardens?
Okay, so at Eden Gardens,
Does that home advantage for KKR?
yeah,
Amplify that?
seems like it.
Okay.
They've played 11 matches against each other at Eden Gardens.
Okay.
KKR leads 7-4.
Oh, okay. So they've definitely had the upper hand at home.
Yeah, for sure.
And what about recently?
Well, recently KKR have maintained their dominance.
Oh, wow. So the tide hasn't turned.
Not at all.
Okay.
They've won 6 out of the last 8 matches since 2018.
Wow.
And in their most recent encounter,
Yep.
KKR won by 7 wickets.
Convincing.
Yeah, really convincing.
Okay, so these historical patterns that can tell us a lot, can't they?
They can give us a lot of insight.
About the teams and how they might approach this.
Yeah, their strategies and the psychological dynamics.
Right, so almost a mental block for RCB when they come up against KKR.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a mental hurdle there,
Especially in Kolkata.
especially at Eden Gardens.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Talk about something I know a lot of our listeners are interested in.
Fantasy cricket.
Dream 11, yeah.
Yeah, let's build some lineups.
So how do we translate all this info?
Yeah.
The venue, the conditions, the history,
It's all got to come together.
into a winning Dream 11 lineup?
Well, it depends a bit on what kind of league you're in.
Okay, so different strategies.
Yeah, different approaches.
All right, so let's start with the small leagues,
Okay.
where consistency is king.
Yeah, got to minimize risk.
So who are some of those, dependable players we should be looking at?
Okay, so at Wicketkeeper,
Yeah.
Phil Salt from RCB.
Okay.
He looked like a really good pick.
Why is that?
Really aggressive form in the power play recently.
Makes sense.
So he could get you off to a flyer.
Okay.
And then among the batsmen,
Yeah.
you almost can't go wrong with Virat Kohli.
Right. RCB legend.
Yeah. And he's our vice captain suggestion for this format.
Solid pick.
Yeah.
And from the KKR side, who are we looking at?
Venkatesh Iyer
Oh,
and
okay.
Rinku Singh.
All right. Those guys have both been in good nick,
Yeah, they've shown good form.
especially in conditions like these.
Yeah, they love a good batting track.
Okay, so some batting anchors there.
Yeah.
Now, what about those all-rounders?
Okay.
You can give us points with both bat and ball.
So Sunil Narine is practically a must-have.
Right, from KKR.
Yeah. Top of the order with the bat,
Yeah.
and then those crucial spinovers.
Bowls in the power play as well sometimes.
Yeah, he does a bit of everything.
So he's our captain pick for the small league.
Yeah. Great captaincy option.
Makes sense.
And then Andre Russell,
Oh, yeah. KKR power hitter.
another excellent all-rounder.
Capable of just winning a game on his own.
Yeah, the bat and the ball.
Okay. And to round out the small league bowlers,
Okay.
who should we have on our radar?
So Varun Chakravarthi from KKR.
Okay, the mystery spinner.
He's a key spinner who should thrive on this pitch.
And then from RCB,
Yeah.
we've got Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Seasoned bowler,
Yeah.
can pick up those early wickets.
Experience counts.
It does.
Okay.
And Yash Dayal from RCB as well.
All right, so those are the steady options for the small leagues.
Yeah, the reliable performer.
Now for those grand leagues, we need to take some risks.
Got to chase those big rewards.
So who are those players that have that high ceiling?
Yeah, even if they're a little bit unpredictable.
Exactly.
So at Wicketkeeper,
yeah.
Quinton de Kock.
Okay, from KKR.
Yeah, he could be a good differential pick
Interesting.
because on his day, he can score really quickly.
Very explosive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so who are some other batsmen
Okay.
with that kind of game-changing potential?
Rajat Patidar from RCB. Match-winning innings if he gets going.
Yeah.
And then Angkrish Raghuvanshi from KKR.
Young guy,
Yeah, young, exciting prospect.
high ceiling.
Very high ceiling.
And then Liam Livingstone.
Oh, yeah, RCB's six-hitting machine.
If he finds his rhythm.
Dangerous player.
Okay. And for those Grand League all-rounders and bowlers,
Okay.
who are the guys who could just be those unexpected match winners?
Andre Russell is still a great captaincy option for Grand Leagues.
Yeah, just that explosive power.
Yeah, he can win you a game in a few overs.
Right?
Krunal Pandya from RCB.
Oh,
He's a bit underrated,
yeah, I think so.
but he's influential in the middle overs.
With both bat and ball.
Exactly.
Okay. And then some bowlers.
Yeah.
Who could be those surprise packages?
If Anrich Nortje is fit for KKR,
If.
it is a big if.
But if he's fit,
His pace could be a real weapon.
for sure.
And then Suyash Sharma from RCB
Okay.
and Harshit Rana from KKR.
Interesting picks.
Yeah, they could pick up some crucial wickets.
Especially towards the end of the innings.
Yeah, the death overs.
All right, so for captain and vice captain in the Grand League.
We're suggesting Russell as captain
Okay.
and Patidar as vice captain.
Based on
Their potential impact on the game.
their ceiling.
Exactly.
All right, this is fantastic stuff.
Good.
Now let's look beyond the individual players
Okay.
and think about those likely team compositions.
Yeah.
What are the predicted 11s?
Okay, so for KKR,
Yeah.
we're thinking Quinton de Kock at the top.
Okay. The Wicketkeeper.
Yeah. And then Sunil Narine,
Yeah.
Ajinkya Rahane,
Probably the captain.
likely the captain.
Yeah.
Angkrish Raghuvanshi,
Yeah.
Venkatesh Iyer,
Yeah.
Rinku Singh.
Solid middle order.
Yeah. Strong middle order.
Then what?
Andre Russell,
Obviously.
Ramandeep Singh,
Okay.
Harshit Rana,
Yeah, we talked about him.
Varun Chakravarthi,
Yeah,
and then potentially Anrich Nortje
if he's fit.
if he's fit.
And the impact player.
We're expecting Vaibhav Arora.
Okay. Another bowling option.
Yeah, it gives them some flexibility.
And they've got a good bench as well.
Yep.
Spencer Johnson, Moeen Ali Manish Pandey.
Ravan Powell.
A lot of options.
Lots of options.
Yeah, what about RCB?
So for RCB, we're expecting Virat Kohli to open
Okay.
with Phil Salt.
The Wicketkeeper.
Yeah, and then Rajat Patidar.
Probably the captain.
Yeah, most likely.
And then,
Liam Livingstone, Krunal Pandya,
yeah,
Tim David,
David.
big hitter,
Yeah. And then
Suyash Sharma.
another Wicketkeeper.
Yeah, so they've got options on the bench.
And then the bowling attack.
Yeah, so Bhuvneshwar Kumar,
Leading the way.
yeah, experienced campaigner,
And then,
Josh Hazelwood,
okay.
Yash Dayal,
Yep.
and Suyash Sharma.
Okay, so two really strong potential lineups.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one.
All right, let's move beyond the players now and think about the tactics.
Yeah, how are they going to approach this?
So we talked about individual strengths, but what about the team strategies?
Well, what's interesting is some of the reports from practice. Players like Phil Salt, Liam Livingstone, Virat Kohli,
Yeah.
they've been in great touch, apparently.
Okay, so both teams might look to their top order.
Yeah, to set a platform.
And really go big.
Yeah, take advantage of those batting conditions.
So some explosive starts, potentially.
Yeah, definitely possible.
All right, what about some of those key player battles?
So those head-to-head matchups.
Yeah, that could really swing the momentum.
Quinton de Kock versus Josh Hazelwood.
Oh, yeah, early on.
Yeah, that could set the tone for KKR.
Makes sense.
And then Sunil Narine
Yeah.
against the RCB pace attack.
Yeah, how he handles that power play.
Crucial for KKR.
For sure. And then as we talked about, the role of spin in the middle overs,
Huge.
particularly Sunil Narine
Yeah, he can dictate the game.
at Eden Gardens.
Absolutely.
And, of course, we can't forget that historical head-to-head.
Yeah.
Does that give KKR an edge mentally,
Possibly.
knowing that they've had the wood over RCB recently?
It could give him a confidence boost.
Right. But then on the flip side, RCB, knowing that they might come out all guns blazing,
Yeah. Try to make a statement.
break that pattern.
Exactly.
So we've got a real psychological battle here as well.
Yeah, for sure.
KKR with that weight of history and the home advantage.
Yeah.
But RCB potentially coming out swinging.
Trying to rewrite the narrative.
This opening match has all the makings of a classic.
It really does.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
giving you everything you need to know
I think so.
about this opening clash.
Yeah.
We've looked at the pitch conditions at Eden Gardens, that
Yeah.
historical head-to-head.
Yeah.
We've given you tips for Dream 11, both small leagues and grand leagues.
Absolutely.
We've gone through those predicted 11s
Yeah.
and talked about some key tactical things to watch out for.
Yeah, those key battles.
So this brings us to a final thought for you.
Okay, I mean.
KKR's historical edge.
Yeah.
RCB's potential for that aggressive counterattack.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to be the most decisive factor?
Yeah. What's going to determine the outcome of this match?
That's what we want to know.
Let us know your thoughts.
All right. Enjoy the match.
Should be a good one.
See you next time.
Cheers.